Hi, it's Richard Hartledge, Principal at Land Morphology. This project is called The Studio. It is the home of Anita and Kevin. It's located in southeastern Rhode Island. And when we were hired, what Anita wanted was a garden that was highly structured, very usable, series of garden rooms, and related to the traditional style of the architecture, but to freshen it up with modern materials. There are two entries to the property from this plan. The service entry to the back of the house where they bring their groceries in and out, and then the parking area for guests in the front. And what was added was each of the garden rooms, there's an outdoor fire feature. There was an existing terrace and a walled garden. And then we added the swimming pool and the outbuildings. So as you see here in the SketchUp model, the site slopes from the south to the north, so that gave us an opportunity to use grades and walls to create the individual rooms. The main entry comes in from the motor court, and then you look down into the lounging area with a fire feature and an arbor over it. There is a lower parking area that is just paved with turf. And then you see the upper parking area, which is where guests arrive. And then to the north, a guest house, a potting shed, and a swimming pool. And then separating the walled garden from the main part of the garden, we did a wedge-shaped berm. So here you see as you arrive, the main entry to the house. The original walkway was quite narrow and it left you feeling like you were perched on an edge. There was a wall that went down to the lower level. The change in elevation is about 5.5 feet. So we broadened the walk, made it much more comfortable and gracious to approach the front entry to the house. And then the formal planting on the parking court with the various hedge plants of boxwood and dwarf lilacs. Simple gravel parking court, edged in granite. Change of color on the house. This is the old color. The new color is the gray, but you see the gracious nature of the broad steps, which are locally quarried granite, and again, the bluestone, which is recycled sidewalk from the turn of the century, door flanked with bay laurels, which are very classic and quite attractive, and then a locally thrown stoneware pot from an artist that lives and works nearby. So here you get a dramatic view across the lap pool. This is a new portion to the site. It was laid out on an axial arrangement with the potting shed towards the west and the guest house towards the east, and it's bisected by this very dramatic arbor. Normally you would walk under an arbor or pergola, but what I wanted to do was to create this very dramatic sight line from a dining area across the lap pool out to the rest of the site. The lap pool is painted this dark color so that it reflects the surroundings and the sky. Here is the view towards the potting shed, which is so beautifully appointed with wicker furniture and Anita's potting supplies and flanked with container plants which bloom in the summer months. And you see the dramatic reflection of the arbor over the water and the potting shed as well. On the south side, we have a lawn for sunbathing, which Anita and Kevin never do because they're so industrious, but their guests do. And then a more traditional perennial border looking out to the adjacent property with the original farmhouse from the site. Here you also see the guest house, which is 2 bedrooms on the top floor, and then a kitchen on the bottom floor that's also used for entertaining. So it's a sunken terrace with a table that will seat 12 people, and it's fantastic to sit there and have a meal served to you looking at the long expanse of the swimming pool. Backing up, you now get a sense of how it connects to the original house with a terrace that was existing on site. This is where you would generally have breakfast or lunch. A beautifully enclosed space with the yew hedges and the trees. That's a yellow flowering magnolia and underplanted with Hydrangea paniculata. So you begin to see how the site works, and then the dramatic cross-axis from the existing terrace out to the landscape across the lap pool. So here you see this fantastic view and why it's so dramatic. And so even though the pergola cannot be traversed through the length of it, you get this fantastic focused view. So here, moving from the terrace with, again, the broken bluestone, and then transitioning into stepping stones that lead you into the lawn that is on the south side of the lap pool. Then I added this beautiful detail of the high tension stainless steel wire, which supports the rings, the steel rings in the center, just to give pattern and relief to the massive quality of the oak beams and the simple construction of it. You also get the fantastic shadow. And in the evening, on the lower terrace, looking out at the borrowed view of the northeastern landscape and sitting around this beautiful fire feature. It's almost 10 feet long. We used gabions to terrace the hillside and create a sense of enclosure. So you have this very industrial material against the counterpoint of the locally quarried granite stairs and the bluestone terraces in the upper portion of the garden. It's very beautiful and very engaging, and these very comfortable modern Adirondack chairs. The other thing about sitting here at the end of the evening is you get this fantastic view up to the house across the slope that's planted with bamboo grass, and ultimately we'll have clipped beeches in long rectangles to give structure. We repeated the same detail of the circular iron piece suspended with the metal high tension cables, again to give you this sense of a ceiling but looking through it up to the sky. It's a fantastic place to end the evening after enjoying the series of garden rooms. It's one of our favorite projects. It's very appealing because of the classic nature of the site, but updated with these modern materials. So join us later and we'll talk more about this project, both in terms of how it was planted and some of the details of the structural elements themselves. Thanks for joining us today.